1, 2, 3.
That's it! It's over! What a match!
Welcome back to yet another episode of WWE Weekly Recap, where we go over all the events from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and the occasional PLE, when there is one. We haven't had one yet, so we're just covering Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, rather than do a sort of daily upload like kind of everyone else and their mother does. We're just going to condense all of the shows into just a, weekly recap. If you haven't already, make sure to check out the previous episodes. I've done a couple of bonus episodes as well, so check those out if you're interested. Link to the playlist will be in the description box down below, as well as my socials: Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok, even though that's probably going to be gone by tomorrow. This is going live on Saturday. I'm recording this right now. It is abysmally late on Friday. It's pretty much damn near 12 a.m. If not, it is. Raw, episode number 2 on Netflix, I feel was a lot better paced than the premiere. The premiere was a bit of a safe episode, as I mentioned before. All the baby faces went over. I really felt that it was more to cater to the execs for Netflix and to introduce anybody who might be any newcomers just coming across Monday Night Raw on their Netflix feed. So this was kind of a back to basics sort of episode for us, those of us who have been watching for, however long. Pretty much everything just continued on with all the storylines. CM Punk up in the show, addressed John Cena, saying that he was going to enter the Royal Rumble. Says he's going to enter the Royal Rumble. He's going to point at the sign. Pyro, he's going to win, whatever. Seth Rollins comes out. Punk throws a fit. They talk. Drew McIntyre comes out. Builds a little bit of fit. They talk. Punk and Rollins agreed for once. They said that they were done fighting. Drew was going to mosey on over. Says, nah, dude, I don't do that. So now we have a WrestleMania rematch for episode number 3 of Raw on Netflix, which is going to be interesting. Hopefully I'm sure they're going to get the main event slot. And hopefully they get a good chunk of time. Perhaps maybe limited commercials? I don't know. I thought it was a pretty decent opening segment. It was fine. Everybody said their piece, blah, 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 whatever. It didn't go overtly long by any means. It didn't overstay its welcome. So I like when we're able to kind of just cut straight to the point. And we've been getting a lot of that. And the professionalism with all 3 of those men, it's going to be must see. Because Punk and Rollins, they still have animosity. Punk won over Rollins. Rollins just looked depressed. And Drew McIntyre was like, dudes, come on, we have to stop Roman Reigns. He's going to go back to the top again, So he's just paranoid that the whole thing is going to happen, bloodline, and he's going to take over WWE, which I get, it makes perfect sense to have that paranoia. So that's just continuity, that we haven't had in WWE of yesteryear in the past. So it's always refreshing to see that superstars still think of stuff that happened a while ago and that they just don't magically forget just because the feud is over. So I like that. Good opening segment. We had the debut of Penta, the worst kept secret in the business, as coined by Michael Cole on commentary. Earlier that day, I believe it was around afternoon, a friend of mine sent me a text and it was this Penta merch. And I was like, holy crap, they released this already? And he ordered the Penta mask and it looks really cool. I might have to get that and add it to the office. You could probably hear it. Penta and Chad Gable had a fantastic match. Chad Gable deserves his flowers. This man, at this point in his career, can have an instant classic with a broomstick. He's reached that echelon of superstardom, in my opinion, in the ring. Like a Shawn Michaels or like an AJ Styles, where you just don't have a bad match. Chad Gable was quite literally born for this. The Penta theme was a banger. His look, sick. He had his family in the front row. His whole entire family were crying in tears by the end of the match because they were just, they were proud. It was definitely the best area to debut him in San Jose, California, and it's a very predominant Hispanic community there. So they were with him right away. The match was relatively unaffected by commercial breaks, which was good. So we were able to see a lot of the action. There was one portion of the match that I thought was going to lead into a commercial, but they were kind of just by ringside and then they went back inside the ring. So that caught me by surprise, but I was it was a good surprise because I was like, okay, oh my gosh, good. Like, I felt like the Netflix premiere had just the most awkward commercial placements of all time, and it just really hurt like the flow of some of the matches for me. Tribal Combat and the Punk Rollins match. Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota Kai. I was really looking forward to this match. I was hoping that it was going to main event because it's for a title. The title is involved. It's the first ever women's Intercontinental Champion. But I should have known that the street fight would take precedence over that match, which is bullshit, between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. If anything, that should have opened the show. There's completely nothing wrong with that being a show opener. But I guess they didn't want that to eclipse possibly Penta versus Chad Gable. So I get the placement of, the match card, things of that nature. I just wish the women had more time. I was a little upset by that, to be quite honest. I think both women deserved just a little bit more time, Or if not, at this point, why, throw that match away, which had some significance to it on an episode of Monday Night Raw. For that, save it for Saturday Night Main Event on the 25th. I don't know. Jey Uso came out after interrupting Gunther. Did the whole yeet thing or whatever. What intrigued me the most about this segment was Jey showed a little bit more of a serious side to him. Gunther was kind of, calling him out, X, Y, and Z or whatever, and Jey kind of put his game face on and was like, all right, yeet stuff aside. I'm going to do this Saturday Night Main Event, me and you, world title, boom. Instantly sold. I was like, okay, this is it. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with Jey Uso and, the whole yeet thing or whatever. It's clearly over. I have a freaking shirt that says yeet, the white shirt with the blue text. But I don't mind every now and then, Jey just kind of, pushing that, not so much like silly stuff to the side, but, show that you can be serious. Like, okay, yeah, this is main event Jey Uso. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure Jey and Gunther will have a freaking phenomenal match at Saturday Night Main Event. I'm seated for that match. It's going to be hype. Does he win? Most definitely not. I don't know who's going to dethrone Gunther. It's going to be interesting. I can see him walking into WrestleMania as World Heavyweight Champion. Does he drop it there? I don't even know, man. I don't know. Lastly, but certainly not least, we had the street fight. It was fine. Fun match. Again, Raw ended a little bit early. Whatever. We could have given a little bit more time to some other stuff. But yeah, it was a fine match. Hopefully Damian Priest just moves on from this. I can see him next Monday either in like a backstage segment or maybe he even, comes to the ring. Not opening Raw, but sometime later on in the show. And he declares that he's going to be entering in the Royal Rumble or whatever. So, yeah. Hopefully the whole Judgment Day nonsense is, kind of behind Damian and Rhea. So that was Raw. On to NXT. NXT, it had some weird stuff. There was like a weird kissing thing with Adonis, and I don't even remember what her name was. It was just really cringe, and I'm trying to forget about that. But Obafemi came out, cut a promo. This dude is 26 years old. If he's able to stay in the business for, say, like the next 20 years, he's a made man. He's set. It's incredible how good he is. How this early in his stage of his career in his life. He's 26. He's so good. He's built like a brick house. Just an incredible talent, and I hope that he has a very lengthy run with the NXT championship like he did with the North American title. He quoted Thanos again, so immediately I would not want to smoke with somebody who quotes Thanos. Like, that's just insane to me. Eddie Thorpe decides to rear his ugly head and sneak attack him. I like that they're giving other people a chance that you wouldn't necessarily see or perhaps may not have a little while ago. But there are some other people that I would like to see as well, kind of break into like the main event mode. Specifically, where the hell is Shawn Spears? What the hell is he doing? He came back to the company and just sort of like fizzled out of like relevancy. And then I feel like Ethan Page came in like shortly after and then just boom, propelled into the main event scene, which is fine. They clearly have a lot of trust in him and see his potential that AEW didn't necessarily see. So again, good for him. Not much to cover in NXT, in my opinion, other than Bayley coming back to NXT. I was actually surprised to see Bayley come back and approach Roxanne, talk all the smack. Oh, I'm gonna be the new women's champion this Friday when I face Tiffany. Spoilers, she lost. Roxanne, clobbered Bayley, and then she swung back, and then they went off the air with them fighting or whatever. I'm surprised that they didn't do that while Roxanne was champion, but I guess, they don't want to, like, if it eventually does lead to a match, they don't want Roxanne to defeat Bayley as champion, because then it kind of makes Bayley look like a chump for someone who's like a main roster talent and has more years of experience than Roxanne. Like, if Roxanne loses without the title, it would benefit her. Whereas if she was champion, then like her stock kind of depletes, and it's like, oh dude, like you just made your champion for NXT lose to a main roster talent. Now on to SmackDown, which just went off the air a short while ago. A much better episode than last week. Last week was just not abysmal. It just dragged. Show opened up with Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio. Kevin Owens wearing a hilarious shirt of his dad's, his occupation, mocking the whole like son of a plumber thing with Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes or whatever. You get it. Rey Mysterio was there. They kind of went back and forth. Rey called him delusional, said he was acting like his kid, and Kevin was like, oh, that's enough. We're gonna wrestle, brother. So, they locked horns later on in the night, in which Kevin went over, was gonna pile drive Rey Mysterio. Everybody just beating the hell out of Rey Mysterio these days. Cody makes a save, they fight, whatever. So just, building up that eventual clash at Rumble for the title in the ladder match, which I'm very much looking forward to. There was an interesting backstage segment with Bianca and Naomi prior to their match that it's kind of like a pep talk, for lack of a better term, and Bianca turned around at one point while she was talking to Naomi, and Naomi just stared her down. And then when Bianca turned back, she went like straight back to smiling. So it's like, oh man, like the seeds are getting planted there for the eventual heel turn. And I'm sure at some point Jade returns. I don't know if they're saving that for Rumble. Speaking of saving something for Rumble, I'll get to in just a second. So it seems as though Bianca is innocent in the whole Jade Cargill getting attacked thing. It's very evident at this point that Naomi was the culprit as to who attacked Jade Cargill. So that's going to be an interesting clash. Maybe we could even possibly get a triple threat. Jade gets upset at Bianca, like, hey, like you became strange bedfellows with the person that attacked me. Like, I don't want to be your friend. And, like Jade she got jaded, by two people that she thought were her friends. So she's justified upon her return, coming back and being mad at the both of them. Naomi especially, but Bianca for siding with Naomi, albeit Bianca had absolutely no idea. So then you're able to sympathize with both Jade and Bianca. Bianca had no clue. Jade is justified at Bianca basically making her her interim partner and like getting rid of her. So there's a couple layers to the story that I like, that I feel like isn't on the surface unless you like really think about it and break it down. And at first I was kind of a little ho-hum about like this whole storyline, but the more it plays out, I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. So Saturday night main event, we're getting Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, which might cause cataclysmic damage in the foundation. The tectonic plates are going to shift. The earth will rattle because these two beefy behemoth men are going to clash, and this match is probably going to be insane. Jacob's probably going to do some crazy stuff. Braun Strowman is freakishly strong, as we all know. Jacob cut a scathing promo, just basically cooked, as the kids say. And then, after that, Solo Sikoa came out, and he wanted the crowd to let Solo speak. They just kept booing. Solo walked away, and Jacob was pissed at the crowd or whatever. Kind of a little bait and switch to what I feel like a lot of people thought were going to happen, and that was Jacob and Tama Tonga essentially turning on Solo. I'm interested to see what they do, see what happens with Solo, see where he goes from here, if he decides to go for, a championship gold, or who knows. All right, my phone is telling me to wrap this video up. It said I ran out of storage space, so I had to clear up some stuff. Let's move on, finish up SmackDown, and bring this baby home. What I mentioned earlier about Rumble surprises, I'm quite surprised that they aired a Charlotte Flair vignette hyping up her return back to WWE. I get it, she's a draw, regardless of how people may feel about her and her previous booking, whatever. But she's definitely a force within the women's division that's been missed, very much needed, if you will. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an inevitable Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair clash. Tiffany Stratton did retain against Bayley in the main event, and kudos to them for getting the main event. Much deserved. Again, Tiffany retained against Bayley. Roxanne was at ringside. She was watching. So all that smack that Bayley was talking didn't happen. Sorry, Bayley. You'll get them next time. But curious to see what happens next. I'm sure Roxanne's going to talk all types of crazy stuff about Bayley and not winning and yada yada yada. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. A lot of stories still developing. A lot of different avenues that they can go on. I love it. I'm all here for it. Let me know what you guys thought of Raw, episode number 2 on Netflix. Let me know what you thought of NXT. Let me know what you thought of SmackDown. Did you like it better than last week's episode? That the 3-hour format is still a little weird to me. Guess it's going to stick around for a little bit, so we're just going to have to get used to it. Definitely a network thing. I think USA is making up for the lack of Raw and NXT or whatever on their network, so they probably just want a little bit more time, a little bit more wrestling on their network. So that's what I'm assuming is the whole reasoning for the 3-hour gimmick for SmackDown. Any and everything, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions for things that I can do for the channel, let me know. If you haven't already and you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications so you never miss an upload, possible live stream. I don't know, just saying. If you want to follow me on the socials, link in the description box down below. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok, even though it's probably going to disappear in like another day or so. And the playlist for the previous episodes and bonus episodes of WWE Weekly, if you haven't caught up with those. And then you'll see the card at the end with the outro, where you could just click it right there too. In any event, it has been a pleasure giving you my irrelevant thoughts, possibly, on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. I will catch you all next week. Love, peace, and chicken grease. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
It was my life, my time, my rights, my rhymes, my grind, my struggle, hustle, sweat in my blood too. My predator smells fear, I smell a lot. My competitors flex here, cause they smelled I was hot. I want it all, excess, the sex, much success, stress us. I want it all, no less, so come on.